Hello, and welcome to Founders Unfiltered. On this week's episode of Founders Unfiltered, we talk to Jayanti, the co founder and CEO of Matic, formerly known as Polygon. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard about Matic, the cryptocurrency, and its multi billion-dollar valuation. But what exactly does Matic do? So, Matic is a layer 2 solution built on top of Ethereum. And what that means is that basically it takes groups of transactions and kind of saves a summary of them on the Ethereum blockchain. So it can always go back to that summary and get details of those transactions back. But the advantage of doing this is that Matic can now handle a much larger volume of transactions in Ethereum. Ethereum was capped at 15 transactions per second, whereas Matic can now do thousands. But what makes Matic special is not just that. I mean, there are a lot of blockchain platforms that have tried to solve some of the problems that emerged from Ethereum. What makes Matic special is the fact that they've actually preserved everything that people loved about Ethereum. So it uses Solidity, the same programming language, as well as all the other tools and smart contracts and stuff that have been published on Ethereum. You can kind of reuse it in Matic's framework. And that's made Matic really popular with the recent NFT craze and rising gas prices on Ethereum. Matic offers a much lower cost solution while still using all the tools and technology that people are so familiar with. So with that, let's dive into the conversation with Jayanti and learn more about how he built and grew Matic. Help me understand the difference in scale, right? Like, so how much faster is it, or how much cheaper is it on
Yeah,
Matic versus
yeah.
Ethereum?
So current Ethereum, if you see Ethereum right now, it takes 15 transactions per second, 15 transactions per second, and it
Hmm?
feels like go around $20 to $100 per transaction. Uh, we currently are doing 300 transactions per second, right? And our fees is roughly, our fee is roughly 0.00001 USD per transaction. So it's very, very cheap. We are also adding like more scaling solution in the future. So scaling TPS will go, transaction per second will increase in the future.
Okay, so we get much,
Yeah,
much better. So as
much
less
much better.
fees.
Yeah, much
Yeah.
much better, and plus low fees basically, right?
Hey Jayanti, thanks a lot for taking our time to chat with us. Really looking forward to this conversation. You built something really big. Very few people outside crypto or blockchain actually know about you, but it's probably one of the largest networks to have come out of India, probably the largest network. So really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Viral, and thanks for having me.
Would love to start from the early days. If you could go back to growing up, any early influences which could be traced to starting something like this. College days, first jobs, and then your brief stints trying to build other stuff. If you could walk through that.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, like there was no terminology of startups and everything, right? Like you just aim for, let's say, TCS, getting job in TCS or Infosys. Like I'm a like not from IIT, I am, right? So my college is kind of tier 3 cities. It's nearby Ahmedabad. It's called DDIT, Dharamsir Desai Institute of Technology. It's in Nadiad. It's a small town nearby Ahmedabad, and there, most of the time, like you don't like you don't have an entrepreneur club or anything like that. You just study and then can take a job in like service-based company like TCS and Infosys. Like at the time, like TCS was the for us, like TCS was best company to work for at the college. Yeah, and like after college, I started with the my internship at service company in Pune. It's called Persistent Systems, and there one guy, he was a chief architect, and he told me, like, there is a Y Combinator. You can go through that, and you can find like new technology people are building, new stuff people are building on the every day. It's a news, Y Combinator news, right? And after that, like I got interested in the whole startup journey, right? Like startups, the technology, like how people are building new products, which we use in the companies. Like we use Slack every day, but you don't, like, I was the early Slack user in 2013 when it got out, and because of this news, Y Combinator news, like I got to know like multiple other products as well, including Product Hunt. After that, like I got more and more interested in startups and building something. And then after I left Persistent, I joined a startup called Function Space. It was a in a tech startup company in Pune,
I did
and
not know you were at Function Space. I was at Function Space for 6 months as well. You're working with Sumit, is it?
yes. I was there with Sumit Maniar, who is now CEO at Rupik. Yeah. So by the way, I was a first employee there. Uh, yeah.
I
So
got it.
yeah. So there was like Sumit, the other two founders, like, and then I was a fourth one. So first as an employee, and then I kind of know 6 to 8 months, and no, I left it. I left the function space and wanted to do something my own, but it didn't work out, and then I joined housing.com, uh, right? And there, like I knew like many people there, like the many housing guys like left housing and started their own. So I thought like now it's I at the time like I knew like now how to do that, right? How to get co-founders, how to build products, because I've done it in housing and function space and before that, and I was also doing multiple side projects just to see like if something clicks, I will continue that side project for a while, right? So as a developer, it's easy to create side project and see like if something clicks, like you can just start with that after that. um, and and yeah, like one of my side project basically I wanted some global payment system integrated with that, and that's all like how I went into the Bitcoin and Ethereum in the blockchain space, crypto space, and I did some freelancing, made some money out of crypto, trading, margin trading, multiple things. And yeah, like yeah, that and yeah, I started Polygon Matic. That's it. Yes.
Got it. And you had a couple of early ideas. I think you were thinking of building a betting platform. Um, you know, if you could talk a little bit more about your experiences at Function Space, housing, and then these ideas that you had, and then how they evolved into Matic Network, which has now become Polygon.
So one of the idea I was working on was to have a live tracking of sales people, right? Let's say if you have some operation based startups, right, and you can maybe, let's say, about deliveries, like delivery boys, like you always need some kind of tracking. And at the time, like tracking was not that popular, and the mobile was like no battery. You need to figure out the battery, etc. So multiple other things, and I created some POC out of it and pitched to multiple people. Also pitched one. I also pitched same product to one startup in Delhi. They are also doing something similar. I don't know if they are still around, but they were doing something similar. And I thought like no, let's like I sent the POC to them and say, okay, if you want to, if you are interested to kind of get the product and integrate with them, maybe some equi hire or something like that. So I kind of exploring kind of small thing and pinging people here and there and see like if something works basically, right? So there is no kind of no. I was not thinking to create $1 billion startup from day one. Like it's like people think like you just need $1 billion idea to start with. Like that's not the case. Like I was not thinking in that direction. I just wanted to have something like small product which works, and maybe I can sell to some people, customers to, or maybe sell it to some other company, other startups, big startups, and get into that startup maybe. So uh, those are my kind of my thoughts at the time. And also like kind of I also used to ping, let's say, Angel List, Product Hunt, Y Combinator people, just send like I used to send cold email to them and see like if they want to kind of hire me as a kind of anywhere, like not just a developer, uh, anywhere, like kind of personal assistant. At one point of time, like I literally sent email to AngelList guy, like some employee there, and I said kind of no, I would happy to be your personal assistant for free, I just want to work with you guys. So it's like kind of no, it was not kind of no, I was looking particularly some idea. I just wanted to work with good people or some wanted to build something good. Yeah, that was the whole idea, like the whole thing. Like I never thought about raising money, like let's say if I'm creating POC, like I never thought like I would just go and ask for money. Like that was not the goal. So I think that also helped me somewhere, when I got rejection from the for Matic fundraise. Like I went to few VCs in India and they said, okay, no, this looks very like weird thing you are doing crypto, and in India, like crypto has no future per se, right? And you are new, you haven't built anything before, like this is your first company, you don't have founders. I was alone at the time in 2017. So but I couldn't care less, like because I was not thinking like, okay, I if I need funding, then I will continue with this. That was not the thought. Like I was doing freelancing on the side, so I got some few free money in crypto, right? And I was using that to fuel the development of Matic. So yeah, that was the whole thing. Sorry, like if I'm being any like not specific here, but that was that, like I was doing multiple things and see if something clicks. Yeah, nothing specific there. Yeah.
No, makes sense. And no, very helpful. And thank you for sharing so honestly and openly the journey. I guess, everything big will have a lot of obstacles and failures and rejections before, it kind of scales. Um, how did you decide you wanted to do something in blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, I was as I said, like I was doing some side projects and wanted some payment system into the in my side project. And then I went deep into the Bitcoin and Ethereum and made some money, right? And thought like, this space looks good because this is very new, right? No one knows anything. Like everyone is like me. So it like made perfect sense for me, as a first time entrepreneur. You don't have to kind of walk or fulfill the checklist of your VCs or anything. Like if you, let's say, if you are old, like if you are, let's say, fourth or fifth startup in your space, like you also need to prove yourself how you are different and how you going to do it if you don't have experience on the same market. Like for me, it was easy. Like I was a developer, so it's easy for me to explain other people to what I'm building, right? The whole space is kind of technical, right? It takes a lot of time to understand like how it works and everything. So it was easy, and the whole community, blockchain community, was very open, right? You can ping anyone on the internet in any country, and they will kind of try to help you or respond to you, right? So sitting at my home, I just pinging people here and there, just for the help, and see like if somebody kind of can help me. I also created a few small tools around the blockchain and send it to the uh, founders of the crypto companies at the time. And they also thought like they are this guy is doing something cool. They also offered me some job in crypto, but I said no, I want to do my like I wanted to build something. But we kept in touch, and they helped me. Let's say they invited me into conference in Buenos Aires in South America, and I went there for a while and in one conferences, and then they introduced me with other people, other founders, and then slowly my network kind of got bigger and bigger. And I thought like in that was like bull market also, like bear market there. But like people, like if you're good, like people was kind of kind enough to give you money. But the only problem for me is that Indian VCs didn't invest in crypto at the time, right? Like now also, like as Aviral said, like there are few people are investing in.
Yeah.
So it was like I was just finding money from outside India, right? And then slowly, like we got money from exchanges, and that how we started. Yeah.
So it was in the form of donations from exchanges. They just kind of
No, no,
into the
not
project, or
donations.
no,
No,
sorry,
no,
I'm
no.
not sure
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like you get the grants, but we didn't get any grants.
Okay.
Currently, we are doing grants for, let's say, who are, if you're building on
Right.
Polygon.
Now you are.
We
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we as a company we are doing it, but at the time, like we were just raising fund, simple, like in crypto fund, right?
Okay,
And
so it
we
was
were
an
making it.
ICO or
Yeah. So first, before the ICO, it was a private market, like private round,
okay.
where we just give to few VCs, few people who wanted to get in. So
So this was for
yeah,
the before you actually launched the
yes,
actual
yes, yes.
product.
So Binance and Coinbase both invested in this equity plus token. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
And
that
then Binance on platform, Binance we did IO, like that. So you can also buy your tokens on particular price. Yeah.
got
So
it.
yeah, so
Got it.
we
So
raised
that's kind of
600 before. Yeah, we raised 600 before, and then 500, 550 before, 550K, and then 5 million on the IO. Yeah.
and that's how it all started. No,
Yeah.
amazing story, and want to dive into a bit. So our topic for this episode is making blockchain simple and talking more about blockchain in India. Um, so let's kind of start off with helping our listeners who might not be as familiar with the topic kind of understand what exactly you guys are doing. And I think it helps to start off by talking about Ethereum. You've spoken about Ethereum being far ahead compared to other smart contract platforms, and I agree. But can you maybe help our listeners understand why? Um,
Yeah, definitely. Uh, first Bitcoin came right in 2009 or something,
hmm,
and in Bitcoin you can just do transfers.
right.
It has a scripting language, but it's very limited. So for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that it just have a transfers, right? And when we say transfer, it's just say, okay, hey, one state change, right? It just deducts money from my account and add amount in your account, right? Simple as that, like one
So it's
state
ledger,
transfers.
essentially.
Yeah, simple. Yeah, simple payments, right? um, Ethereum is basically extended version of Bitcoin. You can say it provides the a platform, right? You can deploy your own code, right? So it can be like it can be loop. You can also kind of create a multiple loops or if else conditions and right, like it can be anything. So you can consider is a, for example, this is not the exact thing, but I think sake of simplicity I'm just saying, like take example of Paytm, right? So Paytm is just, first it was just a transfers, right? Now you
Hmm,
can do much more things, like you can create a gaming thing, or you can create a multiple other betting platforms and multiple other things, right? You can do like with mini apps. We have also one WeChat has a mini apps, right? You can do
right.
multiple things in that. You can create a betting platform. So similar thing, like Ethereum is kind of an extended version of Bitcoin, where you can do anything, like you can create exchange, you can create a lending borrowing protocol, you can do anything, like
Got it.
it's custom code
Yeah.
deployment, right? And Ethereum takes around 15 seconds to 2 minutes to confirm your transaction.
Yeah.
When you send a transactions or transfer your money to someone else, it takes time, right? And it takes a lot of fee as well, like
It's
it,
almost
it, it
$10 a transaction.
yeah, sometimes like $1,000, like $100 to $50 to 1,500. I personally paid $500 in one transactions,
For
right?
one transaction.
Yeah, it was a company transaction. I went to do it, deploy something, and I had to do it. So and it kind of if you, let's say, everyone in this, let's say for example, everyone in this group send a transactions on Ethereum at the same time, uh,
It's
it
difficult.
has a limitation, like your some of your transaction will get stuck in a limbo, right? And you have to up your transaction fees to get included in the
Right.
blockchain. So the more people will come, the more fees you have to pay to
So
include your
a bit of
transaction.
problem.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is a problem, right,
Yes.
in the blockchain. So what we do is scale those blockchains, right?
So it's almost
When I
a
say
three-layer
scaling,
architecture.
yeah.
You have
So
Bitcoin, that's
yeah,
like sort of your first layer. Ethereum's the second layer. It's a platform, but
yeah.
costs are high.
So
And now Matic comes in, and you guys are scaling, right? So how do you?
yeah. So take example again, Paytm, right? Like what Paytm is before UPI. Just forget about UPI for a second. we had a Paytm. Why like people use Paytm? Because it was easy. It was easy to transfer money, small amount. You don't have to wait for 30 minutes to do NFT, right? And you can pay to anyone, right? You can just deposit money, do multiple things, and whenever you are want, you come back. PayPal, Venmo, you can say like those are similar products. And what we do is something similar, right? We are the blockchain on top of Ethereum, parallel to Ethereum, so you can move your money from Ethereum chain to Matic chain, do your things faster, very cheaply, and then when you are done, you can move back your money from Matic chain to Ethereum chains. It's kind of a parallel blockchain, but faster blockchain, right? And it depends on this Ethereum blockchain, right? Yeah, so that's what we do, and you can deploy any kind of contract. You can deploy on Ethereum, you can do on
Now, can
Polygon.
you help me
Yeah.
understand the difference in scale, right? Like, so how much faster is it, or how much cheaper is it on
Yeah.
Matic versus
Yeah.
Ethereum?
So current Ethereum, if you see Ethereum right now, it takes 15 transactions per second, 15 transactions per second, and it
Hmm?
feels like go around $20 to $100 per transaction. Uh, we currently are doing 300 transactions per second, right? And our fees is roughly, our fee is roughly 0.00001 USD per transaction. So it's very, very cheap. We are also adding like more scaling solution in the future. So scaling TPS will go, transaction per second will increase in the future.
Okay, so we get much,
Yeah,
much better. So
much
like
much better.
this.
Yeah, much
Yeah.
much better, and plus low fees basically, right? So yeah,
Now,
yeah. So that's a difference.
and I want to help us maybe put that into context, right? So we actually, with AGVC, we tried to launch an NFT on OpenSea. We created it, took us a few minutes, but like transaction costs were like $10, right, just to bid on that token. So maybe this is a stupid question, but is that something that Matic could help with? Could we help reduce transaction costs for something like that? Like, can you maybe give us a specific example of where it would
Yeah,
fit
yeah,
in?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Take example NFT, right? Like let's say if you go like 2 months back, let's say NFT was booming, right? And if you want to create an NFT on Ethereum chain, I think some people complaining it takes $80 or $100 or maybe $50 to create an NFT, and like if you don't know if you get the NFT money for that NFT back, right?
Right.
Simple as that. So if you spend like $50 on an NFT on Ethereum, right? Just to mint that
Yes.
same NFT, you can mint on Polygon using maybe one INR, 1 rupees.
Really?
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
same thing. It would be the same NFT and it would still
Seven
exist
NFT,
in Ethereum.
seven NFT. Yeah.
And
For
you could use
example, like
the same.
yeah, it will be lesser than one INR because we have like 0.00001 USD fee, so it will be lesser than that. Yeah,
So maybe we need to try and do our NFT on Matic
definitely.
instead.
Yeah, so people most NFT minters and the marketplaces and games are on NFT, on Polygon because they are it's cheap, right? So the user don't have to pay like huge amount of fees to mint NFTs.
But then what about infrastructure? Like we use OpenSea, for example, so it takes care
Yeah,
of all that backend. So you
we
had
have
something
NFTs.
similar? Okay.
Yeah, we have NFTs. We have, you can buy USDC or tokens using your credit card, debit card. We have all those
So
things.
you have all that infrastructure built on top of your layer.
Yes. Yeah,
So
it took time for us, like, but yeah, we have now.
awesome. And then the other question about kind of what you guys do, I know that there are some people, Polkadot being one company that I met that does something similar. Cardano, I don't know if it's kind of similar, but can you tell us a bit about what you guys do and how it's similar or different to what some of these people are doing?
Yeah, yeah. So no, every you can scale one like transactions in different ways, right? What we do is like we latch on the Ethereum. We are not an independent blockchain. We need Ethereum to work, right?
Okay.
Our staking works on Ethereum. So you can say we are kind of no side chain or maybe commit chain or maybe L2 to Ethereum, right?
Whereas
And
Cardano would be a totally different
different,
blockchain. Yeah.
totally different blockchain.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to move your transactions, move your tokens from Ethereum to Cardano, or they don't. I'm not sure if they have a like you can deploy any custom contract on Cardano. If I'm not sure, right?
But I don't really
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
In Polkadot, they are doing very different. They
But
have a
they're
like
also,
a
Polkadot is also a sort of a layer like you guys are, right?
no, they are very separate. What they are doing is kind of they have a specific chain for specific purposes, right? So one could be the governance chain, one could be the DeFi chain, one could be the maybe NFT chain, right? So they have like different segregation, and they are doing kind of 100 different chains in the ecosystem. So and they you need to kind of communicate between them when you want to, right? So
Got it.
the architecture is totally different.
Different. Okay.
What we are trying to do is like something similar but on Ethereum going forward, right? So we will have a multiple blockchains but on the Ethereum, and then you
Okay.
can move your tokens from Ethereum to that chain, other chain, this chain to that chain, something like that. So uh, of course, like Polkadot is very different, but you can kind of consider it as a like kind of scaling on Ethereum instead of the separately, right? So you can see like there are maybe 100 blockchains right now, like
Yeah.
doing something, like trying to solve something similar scaling,
Mhm.
right? So like I think you can say have a Cardano, Polkadot, Solana, Near, multiple other things. Like they have
Right.
everyone have a different architecture, different thing, different language for the contracts, smart
And now with
contracts,
so
right?
many people doing so many different things in different ways, how do you see this playing out in the future? Like, do you see it being, like one dominant player? Will there be many different things that exist differently? People talk about, proof of work coming out and that changing everything. What's
Like,
your view?
yeah, um, I think there will be multiple chains for sure. There is no one chain will fit all the kind of thing you will need in the future. Um, the the good part, like the main part, is that everything is experiment right now. Like if you think about the Polkadot or Cardano or Matic, like Polygon, maybe Ethereum is also kind of big
Yeah,
experiment, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
and we don't know like no what going to happen in the future, like how it will pan out. Like it's a
Right.
new market, as you see, like no one knows like how it will going to work in the future. But it seems like no there will be multiple chains, because I'm seeing like multiple chains succeeding right now, right? There will be BSC, there is BSC, XDAI, us, Polkadot, we have Solana. So I'm seeing like it's, you can sense that you can sense that okay, hey, everyone is kind of not doing something similar, but everyone have a
Different
some
way.
kind of traction, right? So I think it will be multiple change in the future, yes.
And then just to kind of wrap up this discussion, I mean, so there'll be multiple different chains, kind of a lot of different spaces. Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to get into the blockchain space?
I mean, Twitter is your best friend if you want to get into the crypto blockchain, right? um, and let's say if you are a developer, then building something or go getting job at a crypto company would be the perfect match. If you are not a developer, if you're not a tech guy, like there are like many open positions if you see on the everywhere. I think Tanmay Bhatt also kind of created the Super Pump channel, and you can see there. They also have a job portal where you can see Balaji is also posting multiple links here, like, once in a while for people who want to get into crypto. And I think this is the best time to get into crypto because it's still early market and so much opportunities lying around, and build something there. So I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, just I would suggest if you want to create anything, like just go and try to start building. Oh, yeah, that would be the perfect advice, I would say. Yeah.
Can you also tell us about some cool projects that are going on right now in India? What are some of your favorite crypto projects, whether on Matic or elsewhere?
That's an interesting question. So currently, like people also um, experimenting with the social tokens, right? So for the creators, right, where they will have their own tokens, and then you can trade them or use that in their ecosystem. So I think that's a like I think it's a cool um, experiment in the blockchain space. And there is a CoinWise company in Ahmedabad only. From founder is from Ahmedabad and from India. Like they're also they just raise a fund for the creator tokens, right? And I think that's cool. I'm also seeing like the Polygudge. Polygudge is a 14 years kid like building um, multiple stable coins and the multiple products on Polygon. Like that's so cool. Like you really hardly see like 14 year boy building something cool on blockchain. And that's a pretty cool. I think creating financial infrastructures like lending borrowing protocol like Aave is doing. um, that's pretty cool. NFTs, people are also creating Shopify for NFTs, where you can have your own store for your NFTs and mint NFTs as you want. Yeah, so I think those are my one particular app, which is Zedrun. What they're doing is you can buy online horse as a NFT, and then you can bet on the races, on the horse race, and if you win, you will get the money on the in virtual world in the blockchain. So I think that's pretty cool, and it was very famous few days ago, and people were using it for the betting. And I see like people have bought 10,000 like horse for $10,000 virtual horse. So yeah, those things are cool.
Amazing. And what's the name of the company which is making social tokens?
Coinwise.
Coinbase.
uh,
Got it. No, no. Thank you, Jayanti. Thank you for sharing so openly, and it was wonderful learning all that you built and the potential of this. I think we're just scratching the surface.
yeah.
Wanted to wrap up with the unfiltered question, and then we can take questions from everyone. What's one piece of unfiltered feedback you received in your journey till date that really changed the way you look at things?
Okay, that's a I have to think about it. Maybe I don't know, like so the bad or good part I would say is that we haven't had a VC, right? Like actual VCs in our company, because we raised total 5.6 million, but it's just from the exchanges and the public market. So we had never a board of VCs, so I never had to go and answer to board. But of course, like I think the biggest challenge I had, like or maybe I'm having right now also, is hiding. Um, Having like getting good people in the space, like particularly in the blockchain, is hard. Like I see, like even if you are building simple startup like Web2 startup, it's very hard to get good people. And in blockchain space, like it's tough. Like it's 100x hard, because everything is new. It takes, like say, 3 to 6 months to understand how blockchain works, to be honest. Like to change your mindset. If you are coming from the web 2 background, if you are a good engineer there, like it takes a lot of time to change your mindset in the decentralized space. So I think mm, I learn it a hard way to hire good people whenever possible. Instead of just saving your run rate, like yeah.
Amazing. It's a great way to end. Thanks a lot, Jayanti,